right, we are live. We should be going live okay. So let me know, guys, with the brand new, with the streams. Let me know how it's sounding. And we're seeing like some responses. And are we getting some acknowledgements?
Looks like it.
Yeah,
maybe.
There we go. All right, awesome.
Yeah.
Right, so let's get the likes. First off, one thing we gotta get like, boom, 150 likes. Let's get that going. But anyway, welcome to the What If Roundtable once again. I am MasakoX, and I am joined by my colleagues, Sophie B. Powerhouse.
Hi.
As well as, of course, Bora Bora to Haverok.
Hello.
All right, yes. So if you have recently subscribed to the channel, the What If Roundtable is a place where the three of us come together and take your ideas through the power of Super Chat and becoming a member of the channel, which will support the channel as well as generally, get this channel get going, get your what ifs on my plate. And we've actually historically come up with a few ideas which have gone on to become fully fledged videos in their own right, including the What If Bulma Train Like Goku video that came out on Tuesday. And also, I hope you guys had a chance to watch today's discussion about Hirudegarn, or Dragon Ball Z's Kaiju, because YouTube seemed to have kind of eaten it up a little bit. But it was a lot of fun, so do give it a look out and do give it a share. But, so, again, if you want to leave because of the chat, it does have Super Chat. But the Super Chat will get you guaranteed for us to see it, because it does go by pretty quickly. We have 173 viewers, so let's get that higher up. But let's get kicking, because we have a lot to go. But Big Chef first out, thank you very much for becoming a member. And if you want to become a member of the channel, then all you need to do is press the join button down below somewhere around here. And you can become a member. That will support the channel on a regular basis, as well as getting access to brand new content and messages. But let's get going. George J. What if Hutchuk was rebooted? What, you mean like again? I mean, Hutchuk, I mean, in terms of what if we rewrote Hutchuk, we'd actually give him a personality. Because a lot of people don't really realize that with the plan to eradicate Christmas, we actually made Hutchuk talk. Because he does not talk in the original. It's, his, Dr. Lychee. That's it, Dr. Lychee. He talks, but Hutchuk don't. So, you're gonna have to
Which doesn't surprise me.
It's just a big bad. It's like a kaiju, but not much bigger than Omega Shenron. But that's a good point, George J. Nick Wolf now is next. What if Pataras were less mentally stable due to smashing diametrically opposed personalities and disparate power levels together, as opposed to pooling parts together in perfect balance with the dance? Now that is very true, but at the same time it's not. Because, Anthony Phillips, thank you very much for becoming a member. Thank you. Now the way I've seen it, and during my research, is that with Patara, it's, if the personalities aren't equally spread, then the more dominant personality takes over and you don't get the stereo-sounded voice and you get more of the persona. Like with Elder Kai and the Witch. The Witch basically just did a prank and put the Patara earring on the Elder Kai. But the Elder Kai's personality was much stronger, so that's why you don't get the stereo sound. And it's mainly his personality anyway. But it makes you wonder how much of his personality came from the Witch.
Also, we still need to think about, how different this works for Kais, because now we know that it works different for Kais. So,
it's true.
All that mumbo jumbo.
That is definitely true.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But it's a good question though. But if it was less mentally stable, I would say probably if Patara under great stress, you could separate. As in, like, no matter how long you've been, if you're under great mental load, then you could easily just, you separate. So, in a way, you'd have to make sure you're in control, get the job done pretty quick. It adds a bit more peril, and it actually makes the fusions different, absolutely.
Also, because with Fusion Dance, you are kind of learning how to coordinate, and Potara can come as a complete surprise,
Just get an earring, boom, you're done. So kind of like that. Nick Wolf again. When what if sending Cannon Cell in TOP? Alternatively, what if Good and Bad Boy Cells in TOP, followed by Golden Cell versus Good Boy Blue, Gohan, and 17.5? Oh, the fusion of 17 and 18. Unlike you, 21, I can breathe in space. Again, I'd say if Cannon Cell was in the Tournament of Power, he pretty much would be relatively weak. He'd probably be like akin to like what Gohan was at like if it's Super Perfect Cell, his power would be the equivalent of what it is roughly at with Gohan at Resurrection F. Gohan.
I feel like honestly, I feel that that at the point of TOP, Piccolo is stronger than Super Perfect Cell because he's still kind of range.
Again, it's hard to say because power levels don't really matter after Trunks.
But yeah, and the power scaling's a little bit weird because I mean, you could definitely say that like Perfect Cell or Super Perfect Cell even like it could definitely have a place on the team above like a lot of the different characters because you really don't know what kind of growth those characters experience.
Also, he easily all you need to do is just tear off an arm and keep it in, and he could regenerate back in. So he'd be just like, and Perfect Cell from Universe 7 has been with it. Not quite. Allow me to give you a hand. Because, you know, so long as there's just a part of him in there, and you can easily do the shot of him with his head, so long as you just a callback, as in like,
And don't forget that that as long as Zeno thinks it's cool, like
it's allowed.
Super Perfect Cell could create Cell Juniors and totally overpower the Universe 17 with extra fighters.
Exactly, and you wouldn't, and you know, it'd be just like the whole thing of what if one Cell Junior survived all over again? Yeah, well, if it was just left in the world of Void. But yeah, that's just another whole past game. Shaku Masquerade, thank you very much for your super chat, but with no comment. But that's very much appreciated. Firebrand128, what if Krillin blew up 18 before Cell got to her? Well, we'd have Semi-Perfect Cell. And Vegeta would get bored and probably just evaporate and vaporize Semi-Perfect Cell.
And we would have a very traumatized Krillin.
Yeah. That's the thing. Unless he tries to bring her back with the Dragon Balls. That's the only way. But I don't think that she'd appreciate the fact that 17 wasn't brought back either. But either way, it's going to require the reset button to be pressed at least one more time. And that's even if it works. Nick Wolf, what if Goku knew what marriage was and considered Chi-Chi's proposal because they could both fly Nimbus? P.S. Masako is best JoJo. Well, thank you very much. If you watch the JoJo's part 1 in 5.5 minutes, I played Jonathan Joestar in that. And that was fun by just going, by Bram Stoker's modest beard, I must defeat this evil! Just sounding
Moss, do we have slow mode turned on the chat? Because we've got quite a few spammers going on right now.
Unfortunately, let me just see if there is a way to do it. Because don't mind me. Let's just check the settings if there is slow mode. Yes, we do have slow mode, and we can actually change it. So there we go.
I need to go to my moderate mobile.
We should do it. Haverok has to go moderate mode. There we go. Got it sorted. Now, I'm testing out YouTube's new layout, so you know we are fixing this. So thank you very much, Sophie. Thanks for the call out. Okay. What if Goku knew what marriage was and considered Chi-Chi's proposal before they could both fly Nimbus? I'd probably say that he would still do it because, you know, Chi-Chi would be able to try and convince him. It's just she didn't have to go all out trying to convince him. Yeah, he just said, a promise is a promise. I said I would, so I will. Because he is an honest boy. He is definitely an honest boy, that's for sure. So, you got anything else to say? Yeah.
I don't think I have much to add in that regard. Yeah. Honestly, like it's a pretty cut and dry scenario.
Yeah. No, that's pretty much fair. But the next one, Carnix, what if Goku was raised by King Piccolo? Well,
now this one's curious to me because first and foremost, it would require King Piccolo to have been free at the point when Goku landed on Earth. But it would need to be like a certain kind of situation where, okay, well, let's go ahead and take a step back, and we'd have to explore a situation where someone, probably an original character, attempts to get to Kami's lookout, maybe because they're looking for treasure or something like that, finds the storage seal of King Piccolo and accidentally releases him in much the same manner as Pilaf, you know?
Yeah.
So it would have to happen early. The biggest problem I see with it is 10 years or however long it is, like 12 years really, that entire time span from Goku landing on Earth throughout the conquest, like Piccolo would already be like actively attempting to conquer Earth by that point. So you'd have to ask yourself, like, okay, well, if King Piccolo's raising this child and he's doing it simultaneously to his conquest, are we going to start Goku's like primary story with the entire Earth under the tyrannical reign of the Demon King, which is in and of itself an interesting sort of alternate universe take on it. Like, the entire Earth is now under the rule of King Piccolo at the start of the series.
Yeah, that's very true. And would people just adapt to it? Would they just deal with it? Would there be resistance? How would Goku be part of it? Yeah, it's definitely something intriguing, and whether he can actually be swayed. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's very curious. I'm pretty sure that Kami would have had something to do to try and stop it. Maybe try through one like last desperate effort. If Namekian fusion was a thing at the time, he would just try and like sneak up behind King Piccolo, try and fuse with him.
If you can forcibly fuse like the other half, since they used to be one being, I'm not entirely sure how that works, but I think he could also maybe play like a sort of Obi-Wan-ish mentor to another character.
Yeah.
Maybe a character like Yamcha or Ten Shinhan with the aid of Master Roshi.
Potentially. This
Yeah.
would have to be something that formed in the background. But yeah, Sean
Like,
Dever. What if Canon Oob still fused with Fat Boo, but instead of Marjube, he gained Ultra Instinct with not only the memories of Boo's fighting style, but also the Dai Kaio. So basically, it's like, instead of him becoming basically a buffer Oob, he just gained Ultra Instinct. So he got the power, and then became basically as strong as a Grand Supreme Kai.
I mean, again, Marjube, pretty good idea, a terrible execution.
The power in theory would be massive. But again, they were like, oh, we came up with this cool transformation. Now what? We're basically...
I don't know if I would want to... I don't know if like I was to approach a what if like that, I don't know if I would want to categorize it as Ultra Instinct. Like, I would have to maybe say it's something similar, because, I mean, Kid Buu is very, very much sort of got that kind of essence to him as a character, is that sort of natural, just raw fighting instinct on some kind of universal instinctual level.
Yeah.
So it's almost similar to Ultra Instinct. But I don't think I'd call it Ultra Instinct, just because, like, they kind of make it pretty clear in DB Super that, like, UI is kind of the new pinnacle of power.
Yeah. It'd be funny if there was a little nod to it, like, say, whoa, is that Ultra... Like, if a God of Destruction was like, is that Ultra Instinct? And they go, not quite. It's something...
And that Ultra Instinct needs to be learned, and, like, you need to force your body, and not acquired.
It could be a power that's similar, but it's just, it's enough to get like that fan servicey line. But yeah,
I would say it will be more chaotic, because one thing, if Boo is one thing, like, he's surely chaotic, you know.
Yeah, that's true, definitely. And Shaku Masquerade. What if Piccolo had a son? He does. He has Gohan. Ha 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 ha.
If you're just gonna say it.
Hardy har 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 har.
But if he had a biological son, you'd have to address a couple of things. I get the feeling Piccolo's got a few hang-ups about like fatherhood and that sort of thing. I think he'd have to be brought to a point to where he kind of feels like it's necessary. Like,
Yeah.
Maybe because Namekians have longer lifespans and he's of an age with Gohan, like maybe when Gohan starts to approach old age, Piccolo might consider like, okay, hey, I'm reaching Namekian maturity. Why don't I go ahead and try my hand at fatherhood now that I've got, 80 years under my belt?
That's true. I mean, and also Pan is a good substitute, but I would imagine when Pan gets old as well, it's just going to get to the point where Piccolo would actually say, well, this is not, I can't keep doing this because I can't keep seeing these children I care for get old and die.
Yeah.
And like,
yeah.
So I need something I need a child or offspring that can, outlive me or at least live with me. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, Dende, he would find maybe some solace in Dende, but that's not the same. But that's something that is definitely thoughtful. It's food for thought. But yeah, thanks, Shaku.
Yeah, but I think again, much in the future, like Dragon Ball Online timeline at least.
Yes, no, definitely, of course. Red Dragon Force 2. What if Gohan grew back his tail, fighting the Ginyu Force, and kept it afterwards, learning how to control the Ozaru from Vegeta? Well, unfortunately, like with Ozaru with any other character, it becomes slowly less relevant when you get Super Saiyan. Like, Ozaru is like a 10 times multiplier. That can be outdone by Kaioken times 20. That could be outdone by Super Saiyan of times 50. It's cool, absolutely.
And if the intent here is to ask, like, what if he mastered the Ozaru form in kind of a similar way to, like, say, Broly in Dragon Ball Super Broly, I think there's sort of very, very different circumstances because there's this kind of implication that Broly, because he was stranded on Vampa for quite a while, and Vampa has a perpetual full moon. Like they never outright say it, but Vampa has this perpetual full moon, which basically implies that whoever's on it is being continually pelted with the Blutz wave radiation that causes transformations if you can't control it. Paragus, being a colonel, being high power level, he can control that, so he's not affected. But Broly is there from childhood all the way up to when he's 40 or whatever. Goku's age. He was continuously pelted with that energy, which likely caused him to be kind of like a mutant in that regard. So Gohan's own Ozaru transformation is probably not worth much except for like the 10 times power boost.
Yeah, pretty much, I'd say. That's pretty much on the nose. By the way, guys, let's get the likes up to 200. We're 110 currently. So
also to add a little bit to this, remember that Broly was already considered to be a mutant when he was born. So
like he was already breaking them scouters.
Oh, by the way, welcome brand new member Tony Noel. So welcome for that. Thank you. Heartless Fang. What if Nam and Manwolf from the 22nd Budokai trained with Master Roshi and became Z fighters? I'd probably say they'd be just other members of the Dragon team. But, again, they'd probably be slightly more comedic or slightly more... There'd be more of an interesting story with Nam. Like, that'd be an interesting one. But...
It would allow for more variety of the characters,
more
at the very least, so that they wouldn't all be these kind of, like, standard humanoids. And like Manwolf in particular is an interesting one just because of that like whole dynamic. But at the same time, you have to kind of ask yourself, what kind of narrative can we create around these characters? They weren't exactly the most fleshed out of like side characters.
Exactly. I mean, that's the thing. It's all very well and good having these characters in there, but if you can't do anything with them, then what's the point?
They will add like everyone else, basically.
Yeah, they just be other members. Just like different skins on the same character clone. By the way, Little Taver, thank you very much for your becoming a membership. Thank you. Firebrand128, neat the idea for Raditz and Raj. Caught in a brawler lock with an enemy, then double Sunday, sends them flying. So basically, one of them gets someone in a headlock, fires a double Sunday at them, and basically just makes it a double Sunday cannon. Sunday cannon or something like that. Or that could be fun. That would be like one of those dumb attacks. Like like a fighter would be just like, what the heck is this? And they'd be just like Raditz and Ranch would just be doing it just if they're toying with people. If they're toying with people, they'd just be like double Sunday canon.
It's the kind of silliness it's the kind of silliness I expect from a character like Go Tanks.
Yeah.
To be honest.
I'd probably say Raditz would be just like, where did you learn that? And I say, oh, I was just watching Go Tanks doing something similar. Kind of wanted to see if it was actually good. It's actually kind of funny. I like it. I might steal it. And Trunks would be just like, hey, that's our attack. It's like, do I see you doing it?
And Goku would be like, now, Rant, we don't steal attacks from others. And Raditz is like, you of all the people.
It's the last thing they'd expect. Heartless Fang.
Oh my God.
What if Yamcha and Tien remained Goku's adversaries? Well, Yamcha would definitely have to fix his problem with being around girls, that's for sure. Pretty much immediately. Or he shouldn't have had it in the first place.
And we had Tien as an adversary in Nappa with Majin Tien.
Yeah.
And Majin Shiatsu.
That is very true.
There was still adversary Tien in Masako and Haverok's What Ifs on the channel, and you can check those out.
Absolutely.
As far as Yamcha goes, the biggest thing about Yamcha is that he is such a softie when you really break down his character, because he's this orphan. He's basically like the equivalent of like Toriyama's version of Aladdin before Aladdin was a thing. Like he's this orphan kid stealing to survive, has problems with girls, but like his big dream is that like he can settle down and live comfortably and have a family, and he doesn't have a lot going for him unless you were to give him like some severe trauma. And I honestly think like the only thing that might do it would be kind of cheap and dumb, and that would be like fridging someone. Like if Bulma had gotten killed or something like that, or like Goku and the rest of his friends, he might have experienced a trauma that sent him over the deep end, and then like by the time they get wished back, in a year or something like that by someone like Roshi or Kami, maybe then Yamcha's just like he's too far gone,
Yeah.
I can't see it.
Also, if you are curious about adversary Yamcha, check out Xenoverse 2. Yamcha super villain mode.
Time breaker Yamcha. Oof.
Time breaker Yamcha.
That look, that gaping like insane grin. That was just like, what the hell is that?
That was pretty funny. I must admit that that was pretty funny.
Oh, that was funny, no doubt, absolutely, no doubt about that at all. Okay, so next, Rebecca Edmedes or Edmedes. Hello all, what if King Cold didn't retire? Planet Vegeta would still be around.
Yeah, if King Cold didn't retire, he would have probably kept the Saiyans on board, because like Frieza was looking for any excuse to get rid of him. So like Frieza supplemented the forces with other people and better weaponry.
Yeah.
And then was like, we now have a strong enough force, we can get rid of him. King Cold would have probably just been on the end of like, why would I need to hire more people when I've already got the Saiyans? And if they act up, I will just kill them. He's a lot more arrogant than Frieza in a lot of ways, in the sense that like Frieza is legit worried about the legends that have sprouted on planet Vegeta about the Super Saiyan and the Super Saiyan God, whereas Cold is just like, oh, my little pink princess, you're worrying too much. We're far too powerful for them to be any kind of threat, even if they were real.
Also, he seems to be more like a businessman,
Yes.
And I think
Totally.
he could even sway Beerus into not destroying planet Vegeta. It's like
Evil CEO.
Yeah.
Oh, he would easily do it.
He would be like, "Oh, Lord Beerus, those monkeys are useful. Here, I will get you some precious food."
Absolutely.
We can stay there.
Yeah, no, King Cold would be a very shrewd, legitimate businessman. And welcome new member Goku Kakarot, so thank you very much for joining. Nick Wolf again, so long as we're reworking movie villains for Super, what if Turles' Tree of Might bore fruit that contained God Key, or even Destroyer Key? Well, I think that could easily have happened if basically somehow Turles planted the Tree of Might in at Beerus's place. That'd be interesting.
He would probably manage to grab. He'd probably manage to grab quite a lot of divine ki, especially like destroyer god ki, if the tree of might got planted on Beerus's homeworld.
Yes.
And he could have gotten like divine ki, like raw, like awesome Kai level god ki or whatever, if he'd planted it on the Kai homeworld.
Yeah, if you got some to the sacred world of the Kais.
Think about
but
how
he'd have to get there first.
think about how messed up that would look for Kais, like eating a fruit for people who are born from apples.
An evil tree draining the energy of the planet of the people born from trees.
Like Turles would be the ultimate villain and scavenger.
Oh, the irony. Oh, the irony is strong with that one. Nick Wolf again. What if Goku's heart attack only reduced him to base form rather than putting him in a coma? What if Vegeta reincarnated after unliving to Boo? So basically, that's a twofer. So we'll quickly go over those. What if Goku's heart attack only reduced him to base form? Basically, Goku would probably, if he was reducing to base form, he'd realize he probably was no good to anyone. So basically, he would probably he'd probably instant transmission out of there, and then go to Korin to get the Senzu Bean, and then realize it's not working. What do I do? He would then instant transmission back home to get the medicine, after Gohan probably telling him, look, you've got to go and take it. And he would probably just sit it out and wait until he gets better.
Yeah, like, he wouldn't be happy about it because he prefers fighting, but, like, if he's useless to everyone,
he would know
that he would know he just needs to step aside.
Yeah, no, definitely. And he just need to wait to recover and then come back in again to help. And then what if Vegeta reincarnated after unaliving to Boo? So basically, if Vegeta's atonement, he basically then instead of becoming like Vegeta again or keeping his body in the afterlife, he would become the alternative. He'd become Atajev, if the Oob nomenclature is anything to go by.
The noble Russian man, young Russian.
Or if you just want to shorten, my name Jev. My name Jev. Sorry.
for him to grow, but I think we would have Goku kidnap a Russian child and train it.
Or the Dragon World's equivalent of like Russia, Muscle Tower area. Brendan Little, what if Raditz and Nappa swapped hairstyles? They'd be glorious. I mean,
I honestly kind of want to see fan art of it.
I do, yeah. I want to see.
Yeah, please, if somebody like.
Where's Night Prime when you need him?
Yeah.
Where's Night Prime?
Yeah, where's Night Prime? Please draw this. Draw this.
Shaku Masquerade with the $20 super chat. Thank you very much. What if Piccolo had a son? Or what if Piccolo had a god mode like a Sacred Dragon mode? Well, there's rumors about an ultimate Namekian thing. I mean, I'm not too sure whether the Moro arcs covered this. I'm not sure because I've not been reading. I've not been reading it just because I don't want to spoil myself.
No, not yet, but there are rumors. I think they are returning to the whole Namekian point, so maybe we're gonna see it. So, and hopefully, maybe we're gonna see Zalama at that point.
Well, hopefully.
So, that would be cool. I know that back in the day... I know that back in the day, there were a lot of rumors going around about like a possible sort of like transformation for the Namekians. That a lot of people liked to think that the Namekians should get a transformation that kind of like inverts their color scheme and does like red and yellow as opposed to green and pink. And so like I thought that would have been an interesting take, considering that Namekians don't have any hair to change color.
Yeah, you need some kind of signifier, definitely.
At the very least, an aura change, like what I do with Kaio Henshin over in my videos.
Yeah, that's definitely true. So you need some kind of signifier, because again, they don't have hair. Nick Wolf, since they all want planets for one reason or another, what if Turles, Slug, and Bojack were high-ranking members in Frieza's empire? DB's Legion of Doom. I like that name, Legion of Doom. Bojack, Slug, and Turles, I don't think they could work together, because Bojack's a pirate, Slug's his own kind of, like, evil merc, and then Turles, he's just his own person. They'd have to be some kind of unifying, cause.
Well, and Xenoverse kind of even shows us a little bit of that possibility as far as Slug and Turles goes, in the sense that, like, whenever they get the opportunity, they more or less decide to, like, kind of take their opportunity to stab the other in the back. They're a bit too ambitious for their own good, each of them, and it's part of the reason why they're able to get played so easily by Toa and Mira. If you add some more characters into that, like Bojack, I don't get the feeling that Bojack or any of his harem crew are villainous. Like, I feel more like they are the kinds of characters, and honestly, like, writing them would be better is if they were just that sort of classical free-spirited take on these spacefaring, like, quote-unquote pirates,
Yeah.
I don't think they'd get along with Slug and Turles at all, especially if Turles is outright, like, destroying worlds he goes to with the Tree of Might, because that ruins future profitability.
Yeah. No, I'd definitely say so. Oh, here's one that you might like, Have. Brendan Little, excuse the crossover, but today's video made me want to ask, how would you think a fight between R&R era Goku, Raditz, and Vegeta and Monsterverse King Ghidorah would pan out? Oh. Well,
King Ghidorah, huh?
No, Haverok just suddenly just went like, oh my god, he had to go somewhere because it was King Ghidorah. Oh no, Haverok's internet's just dropped. So, Sophie, do you want to field this, or shall we move on? Let's wait for Hav to come back, because I kind of want to hear.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I'm really interested in hearing what Hav has to say on this one.
Yeah, we'll come back to that. We'll come back. Nick Wolf again. Yeah. What if Ox King trained Goku after the 21st Budokai? Well, technically, Ox King's power level is like 900. Supposedly.
Oh my gosh.
Somehow.
Yeah, like the movie 6 pamphlet was so weird with the power level ratings and stuff like that of certain characters.
I know.
Even some of the other retroactive power levels, like I addressed it in my power level and power scaling video, where they're like, dude, they said that Tambourine had a higher power level than King Piccolo, and it's like, what?
Yeah, I know that is kind of bonkers, but again, like, the numbers don't lie. Ox King's power level was 900, apparently, according to the pamphlets. So that is canon. But basically, that would mean Goku would probably become a beast. He would get really strong, like much stronger. Again, it's an interesting concept, but pretty much cut and dry. Nick Wolf again is an April Fool's. What if Ox King and Goku fought Raditz? Well, if Piccolo was there too, then if it was a three against one, they probably might win with no casualties. Like, Ox King would...
I'm back. Something's weird with my laptop.
It's okay. We were just talking about Ox King fighting Raditz with Goku and Piccolo. Basically, they would win. They'd win because Ox King would basically just, like, crush Raditz with just sheer brute strength. Hannah Rowan, by the way, thank you very much for becoming a member. But in short, they would win. But Brendan Little, so basically, we were saying, how would you think a fight between R&R era Goku, Raditz, and Vegeta would be like against King Ghidorah?
Oh my!
I know that's exactly the reaction I thought it would be.
Yeah, like, I think this could be an interesting encounter, I guess. Like, there are many heads of this problem.
Oh no!
Oh no! And we all know that the critics would hate it no matter what. And Typhoon DS, thank you.
Will hate it, again.
Typhoon DS, thank you very much for becoming a member. Thank you. I probably would think that
7 out of 10, too much monsters.
But I think probably like Raditz and Vegeta and Goku, they would find some way to kind of like think way together, like comedically tie the heads together or whatnot, or like somehow just realize, oh, if I just make an insult or something like that, it would upset someone, like pull a Megetta almost, or something like that.
I would love to see a trio of beam struggles with like all three fighters each beam struggling with a different head of Ghidorah.
Yeah, that would be fun. Not just in a straight line, but just from different directions.
Honestly, we need them to fight a freaking three-headed dragon. Come on, it's Dragon Balls. Like, go on it, Dragon Room. We need them to fight a kaiju.
Yeah, I know, right? Absolutely. Okay, Anime Guy 01. What if Piccolo survived Nappa's attack and only fell unconscious? Well, it depends on when he would come back to consciousness. If he was like down for a long time, but he regained consciousness like around the time when the Spirit Bomb came back, if he had that extra bit of power that he could give Goku, like almost like as a final confirmation that, hey Goku, I'm like on your side and stuff, that probably would have tipped over the edge and Vegeta probably would have been incapacitated. Like, enough so that means he couldn't escape. And he'd be stuck on Earth. He'd either be stuck on Earth because, like, Goku would still, like, forgive him or let him just say you're sorry and stuff like that. So I think it would be enough to actually do some serious damage to Vegeta in some way. Now, the Jurassic Show. What if Toa and Android 21 teamed up?
I have problems with both of these characters, so I will let you two handle this.
I take this from you. Yeah, I take this from you. I don't know. Like, I guess they could work together to create a more interesting villain than both of them. I'm sorry, that was mean.
Oh, that was a tough aside, but that's fair enough. Jurassic Show.
It's just hard. It's just hard with those characters because they honestly, you know, they're all style and no substance. They are 100% there for being. They're entirely superficial, and they need extensive rewrites to be of any value as characters.
That's definitely fair. Easy Cones. What if Gohan joined Young Justice?
He'd be more powerful than pretty much everyone on the team, barring maybe Superboy.
But they get on very famously. They get very well.
Yeah.
I can imagine basically him becoming just like he's the bookworm, but also the bookworm.
Tech support until emergencies.
Tech support, yeah, basically. Hello, IT. Have you tried punching it on and off again? Pretty much.
Look, guys, I've dealt with this sort of situation before. You just have to punch it really, really hard.
Oh, classic. Ron Banner. What if
That's what my father used to say.
It worked for him. Ron Banner says, "What
I feel
if
like
humans
you aren't adequately whelmed." Sorry.
No, what if humans were always Saiyans but didn't know? Well, you'd have to explain what happened to their tails. That's for sure. Or like it was a government conspiracy.
We don't know.
Well, maybe it's not so much that they're Saiyans in the way that we know them. What if the humans turned out to actually just be the most recent evolution of like 1,000 years post Saiyan colony?
Oh.
Say let's say 10,000 or maybe 20,000 years ago, those like the proto Saiyans of planet Sadala or whatever were trying to find colonies, and one of their very limited number of attempts at space flight travel for the purpose of colonization lands on Earth, and they eventually become what we know in the modern era as human.
Ah, okay. No, I see what you mean. So there was a mysterious spaceship that somehow took Saiyan, so that's not the most far-fetched of ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it basically, it's
again,
like,
that would make a lot of. Yeah.
But Dialogos.
It's one of those. Yeah. Go ahead.
Again, we gotta keep going. So
we really gotta keep going.
What if Dabura broke free of Barbady's control? It was never explicitly said that he was evil for Barbady's control. Well, it depends. Deborah is a strong-willed character
Deborah.
like Vegeta. I mean, basically, Vegeta was never in control. Basically, controlled by Babidi. He just let him do it, and he had that strong will. Spopovich and Yamu didn't have that will. Deborah, of course he has that will. He's just like, hey, cool, this wizard can make me even more powerful. Awesome.
Well, and it's like, I think that there's a little bit of a misconception here in the question because they say it's never explicitly stated that Deborah is evil. It's like, well, he's explicitly referred to as the king
of the
king of
demons.
the king of the demon realm. He is quite literally like the Makaioshin, which is the evil opposite number to Kaioshin.
He is evil. He is the definition of evil.
Yeah,
What if
like,
Deborah turned good confirmed?
Is that?
Oh, that filler
Yeah.
is such garbage, by the way.
I mean, he kinda did.
It was funny though.
that filler in DBZ was funny, but it was such garbage.
Oh, Cody Zickler. What if instead of using the wish in the Saiyan Saga to revive Goku, they used it to make Vegeta and Nappa have the same mentality as Goku, in turn making them nice?
Well, it's always a bit of a tough. It's always a bit of a tough sell when you're using the Dragon Balls to like try and convince or change somebody like on an intrinsic level, because we've seen before that the Dragon Balls can only do so much, and what's more is like, if a person is aware of a wish being made and then actively states like, I don't agree with that wish, you know,
Yeah.
we've seen before that can actually have the dragon be like, well, hey, they don't want it, man.
And not to mention for the fact that Vegeta and Nappa are probably stronger than Shenron in terms of like outright power.
Oh yeah, at that point in the story, most definitely.
Yeah, so basically you just go, that is beyond my power. I mean, yeah. I mean, basically, it'd be just, as we said in DBZA, you could just like, oh, I wish for the Saiyan pods for their course to change through some way crash into a sun. Boom.
Yeah.
That could work, because that's just basically, oh, can you make this thing happen instead of that thing? Like, move an asteroid several degrees to the left or something. That could be done. You need to think laterally at this point. You basically have to do an arse pull like JoJo in some way. You got to do it in that way. Brother Roga.
And I mean,
I sent an email to Masako about this, but for everyone else, what if Dr. Giro survived the activation of 17 and 18? So basically, I did get the email, so we will elaborate that on, I will elaborate on that later on. But if he survived,
yeah, like, well, he'd have had to have approached activating them differently. Like, one of his biggest mistakes was having the deactivation remote control like right there in his hands.
Yes.
At the same time, you know, some people can argue like, well, actually that was kind of what was keeping him alive until 17 saw the opportunity to snatch it. But let's just say that, you know, for whatever reason, he managed to get some kind of programming to stick.
Yes.
So 17 and 18 don't kill him. I think at that point, what he would have probably done is he would have sent them out to deal with the Z fighters while he attempted to basically, you know, throw caution to the wind and say, you know, forget my feelings. I'm going to finish and fully complete Android 16, and we're going to get this stuff done, because he knows at this point, like, oh, well, the robot body that I built for myself is not going to cut it. And so the most powerful weapon he has in his arsenal is 16, but 16 by his own words is unfinished. So he needs to take like enough time to at least finish installing Windows or whatever you want to call it. You know,
that's definitely true. That's but Brother Roga will definitely elaborate on that for sure. Karmix, what if Goku was raised by the Red Ribbon Army? Again, this is one that we get very, very, very regularly. But in short, so we'll keep this short. Nothing good. Nothing good at all. He would basically become an experiment for Dr. Giro when he finds out how strong Goku is and his potential. He would be subjected to many experiments and tests. And with his Zenkai, with his unknown Zenkai at the time, Dr. Giro would discover it. He would discover this happening, but he wouldn't know what it is. And yeah, no, it'd be a very bad time.
Yeah, at best, the best.
If you go, go on.
No, go ahead.
Go on. If he could create Cell, he would create a clone army or something.
Yes.
Probably.
And you kind of have to figure, okay, so he's got this kid. He knows he finds the biological trigger essentially in the Saiyans for the Zenkai boost. Let's say he could very well through mapping Goku's genome or however he wants to approach it. He could possibly even find the key points in Saiyan genetic code that triggers such transformations as the Ozaru and the Super Saiyan and all subsequent levels. Basically, in the best case scenario, you're looking at a Jiro who would probably either leave or usurp the authority of the Red Ribbon Army with an entirely new blueprint for way more powerful artificial warriors. And at best, Goku is either a lab rat or through his various power boosts, etc., he manages to escape, but is essentially a wild, a mad dog, a wild animal,
pretty much,
more or less. Or even if you wanted to say, like, well, let's say he has intelligence for whatever reason. Maybe Jiro managed to implant it into him with some kind of conditioning, like computer conditioning, while he's in his biopod or whatever they put him in. Let's say he has intelligence. The best I could really see for Goku, if he doesn't become like killed by vivisection, is becoming an almost sort of like tragic Mewtwo-esque character of like, why was I even born? I want to kill everyone.
Yeah, no, that's definitely tragic, so we'll leave it at that. Because we probably will elaborate this again on another chat. But, Mark Galvin, will you make What If Raditz turn good in OVAs and TV specials, especially the Dragon Ball Z, One Piece, and Toriko crossover? Oh, wow, I forgot Toriko was even a thing. But I let's not go nuts here. Don't worry, we are working on the next part of Raditz Turn Good GT edition, and it's not a very happy ending for the second part. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh no! Why are you telling me this?
It's not good for a certain character that people like. Yeah, we're stepping into the Grand Tour with this one.
I'm sorry, Oolong. I'm sorry, Oolong, but you have to go.
You're gonna be killing me off? That's horribly unfair.
Anthony Phillips. What if someone else?
The legendary Super Swine.
What if someone else like Krillin or Bulma wished for Goku to be immortal because they were worried about not being able to resurrect him after the first time? So basically, okay. So they basically just like said, hey, we want Goku to have immortality. Would he accept it though? Probably not.
No. Well, and let's say Goku's unconscious or something when they make the wish, and so the dragon does it anyway. The moment Goku found out that he had an advantage that was intrinsically unfair that he didn't earn, I mean, we all saw how he treated the power of Super Saiyan God.
Yeah.
He wasn't very happy about it at all. The moment he found out that he had been given immortality against his wishes, he'd be like, I gotta find the Super Dragon Ball so that I can fix this mess you all made for me. This is just wrong. It's wrong.
Yeah, no, that's definitely not right. He would definitely just reject it, and people wouldn't understand, and he'd have to then give the lecture. That is very true. Okay. EC Cones. What if in GT, Bra, Goten, and a Kid Vegeta were the main characters? Okay, so basically, if somehow Trunks had an important meeting, he couldn't make it, Goten actually was off the phone for once, and Bra was convinced by a Kid Vegeta saying, if you come with me to on this journey, I will take you to whatever shopping mall that you want, no limit on the credit card. Or something like that.
Oh my god.
Why
Vegeta are you reminding me of Bra's characterization in GT?
Yeah, I know. It was a wasted opportunity because seriously, it would have been so cool to see Bra in GT act so cool, but despite at the same time acting so vapid. It'd be such a heel turn. Like, basically, you know that the scene in GT where Vegeta and Bra's being catcalled in the car. And basically, it'd have been so much more fun if Bra just said, "Daddy, excuse me if I do this," gets out of the car, crushes the other car, wails on the driver, and basically, and then basically it just acts all tough, and then just goes like, "Oh, man, you scuffed my shoe," and then basically just kick the other one out of frustration. But
pulls an Android 20 and rips the engine out of the car.
Exactly.
Put that back. I kind of need that to flee from you.
Yeah.
just if you had a heel turn like that, I'd forgive the characterization. Like, as in, like, would just basically would like Vegeta would just have such a explosive temper, like.
I mean, she have two very explosive and proud parents, but let's give her traits from both of her parents.
I think we'd wind up with an interesting but a bit less a slightly less enjoyable dynamic. It would probably be a bit more funny, but like Vegeta and Bulla are both these kinds of really high octane, fiery personalities, especially with how like they're characterized in GT, you know, because one of them's he's the prince of all Saiyans, he's got all this pride. Bulla is a total daddy's girl who's been spoiled by being a rich kid and just the attentions of her father. She's a total princess. And then you've got Goten. And Goten's characterization in GT is just the worst.
You just think, what the heck happened?
Goten is the worst character in like all of GT, and I cannot even begin to say how little I want to see him as like one of the primary protagonists of the story.
I know.
Yeah. At least Bulla has few funny scenes. At least that.
That's true. Anyway, Goku Kakarot. What if after coming back to Earth after Namek, Goku decided to revive his family, including Raditz, Bardock, Gine, and Grandpa Gohan, so the Saiyans have a change of redemption? I don't think that would happen. I think Grandpa Gohan wouldn't want to come back to life. Raditz, I don't know. Gine, maybe? But,
yeah, Grandpa Gohan got his closure.
Yes.
I think Raditz would be an interesting opportunity because I think that when push comes to shove, if he was wished back, he'd probably be one of the earliest and like most likely Saiyan villains to like to rehabilitate themselves and reform because he's got this cowardly personality that's really kind of sort of like, well, this is the best situation for me. These guys are the strongest beings in the universe. Gine and Bardock, I think Bardock would not be happy with like his son or his son's like brood, but at the same time I think Bardock of course would be pleased to be alive and pleased that like Frieza and Cold and all their ilk were dead. He would be furious the moment he'd be like Vegeta the moment he heard that Goku like brought Frieza back to life essentially. And Gine would just be happy to like be with her son and the extended family. And then as far as the rest of the Saiyan race goes, by the point of like when they would have any opportunity to utilize the Dragon Balls to bring back the entirety of the Saiyan race, like these characters have gone through all of this character development that has made it to where like none of them want to bring back the Saiyans because it would be way more work than it's even worth to try and reform an entire race of jerks.
Yeah, no, I'd definitely say that's reasonable, but let's move on. Paparazza. What if everyone was the opposite sex? Not really much would change, really. Like,
yeah,
the art of making a good character is that the gender does not matter. That's the thing. The art of a good character is just like you make the character, the personality, and oh yeah, they're this gender. Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's not really an important part. It's not the most important part, that's for sure. So I think realistically, nothing would really happen. Like, you still have children being born the same way, in theory. But again...
and if you want to and if you want to talk like if you want to swipe people's gender on a binary, right, and turn all of the guys into girls and all of the girls into guys, it doesn't change up the dynamic too much at all, because everyone would still wind up hooking up with the people that they do in canon.
Yeah.
The only difference would really be the character designs. You know, you'd have more women than you would men.
But the personalities would remain
and
the
the
same.
question is, what do we do with the genderless characters? Like Frieza, for example, was androgynous.
Chaozu, like for one, in theory.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So that would not change much at all. So it's actually not as big of a scale thing as you think. And core Saiyajin Kami, I still do pay attention to the subreddit, but again, getting married takes up a lot of time. That's for sure. So getting married next month, that's a big time sink.
Such a big congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, so do accept my apologies for, the Reddit thing, but yeah. Jurassic Show, Super Dragon Ball Heroes What If Edition, the biggest oxymoron ever. As in the contradictory statement. Super Dragon Ball Heroes is a big what if. Pretty much. It's basically doing what Marvel's all, about to do. Or something like that. So
yeah, with the huge multiverse sort of situation.
Yeah, but thank you though, Jurassic Show. Scott Baker, what if Tarbell was sent to Earth instead of Goku? You'd have a much more placid being, that's for sure. He wouldn't need the bump on the noggin, I would say.
And you'd have this sort of sibling issue that kind of pops up between like Tarbell and Vegeta.
Yeah.
Because Vegeta would be like trying to dominate his brother by virtue of being like the older brother,
Yeah, of course.
Whereas Tarbell would have to have basically, like, over the course of his adventures on Earth, would have had to have grown a spine.
Yeah.
and like he sticks up for himself, and he sticks up for the people of Earth and his family, and stuff like that. I feel like Tarbell, if like Tarbell came to Earth, he's a bit of a, at least as far as his personality goes, he's a bit of a softie. So I don't know if things would work out like relationship wise or future wise, but if we're just doing a 1-to-1 situation and you just swap Goku and Tarbell, I think the only dynamic that would really change would be the dynamic between Tarbell and Vegeta.
I also think that Raditz wouldn't go out of his way to kill Tarbell because he'd be just like, he would just go and tell Vegeta that this is going on and basically say, and then Vegeta would say, well, why didn't you try and teach him some manners? It's like, what, you seriously think I'm going to kill your brother? You really think that I'm that stupid? Well, kind of. Kind of, well, but that's fair enough.
Raditz might consider, and Raditz might still consider, like, the whole, like, kidnap my nephew situation, except for the fact that he wouldn't be so open about it. He'd be like, I'm gonna take my nephew like when it's nice and dark out,
Yeah.
I mean, nephew. That would be Vegeta's nephew. That would be Tarkan.
In this case, it's Vegeta's nephew. So it's like I'm gonna swipe Vegeta's nephew so that I don't go back empty-handed. So Vegeta isn't mad at me. And then Tarbell, if he's smart, he'll come and chase us, and then I will have managed to accomplish killing two birds with one stone.
Yeah, he'd be a bit more strategic about that.
You OC guys, Tarhan.
Tarhan.
Anyway,
I think if Tarbell was raised by Gohan, it would still be Gohan.
Yeah.
Anyway, Overmind 5000. What if Chi-Chi kept practicing martial arts? Well, she'd understand about Goku's passion for martial arts, that's for sure. And Gohan would have a much better work-life balance, as in like with schooling. He would probably still be just as smart because he'd have the free reign to let out his frustrations about a math problem or something like that. So he probably would actually flourish.
I think she would less stress because she could
she'd get it. She would understand.
Yeah.
That's why in What If Goku Married Bulma, Bulma gets Goku's passion and appreciates it. So it's just Chi-Chi would get it and she'd be able to chill. She'd actually have a very relaxed life. She'd be much happier, I think. Definitely. Vanda Toy Rescue.
Oh, yeah.
You've probably been asked this 100 times, but what if Raditz and Nappa both turned good at the same time? Well, I would say probably if they both turned good at the same time, if Raditz basically just was like, no, I'm just gonna stay here. he would hope that he would not come across Vegeta. If Nappa then decided to show insubordination, Vegeta would just kill him, like straight up.
Yeah.
Oh, so Nappa wouldn't really survive unless
And
he.
and if they somehow manage to survive, I don't think in this scenario Vegeta would turn good.
No, because we've already got 2. So basically, it's a package. You either get Raditz and Nappa turning good, or you get Vegeta turning good. You can't get all 3, definitely.
Yeah.
Jonathan Norris.
Yeah.
Love your channel. What if Goku accepted the role of Kami after beating Piccolo? Granted, it's out of character, but I think it would be interesting. It would be a bad call. Like...
If he accepted the role, he would wind up not keeping it for very long.
No,
because
yeah.
I think at best he might have gotten about 5, maybe 10 years out of it.
Yeah.
But honestly, like when the situation happens with Raditz landing on Earth, and being Guardian of Earth literally means like you're not supposed to get directly involved. Like at least in the original Dragon Ball, like Kami had to possess a human in order to do anything on Earth in and of itself. And even if you wanted to change up the rules because of like, you know, Dende is able to leave the lookout and stuff like that later on, by the time, if you say like, okay, well, let's say Goku accepts the role of Guardian of Earth after he wins the 23rd Tenkaichi Bukai, and then what ends up happening is Raditz shows up 5 years later. Goku would be like, okay, well, I can't be Guardian of Earth anymore. Like, I am missing out.
Mr. Popo would respect that, and he would just say, look,
Yeah.
Goku, I don't think this is something that you really want to do. Let's be honest here. And he would understand. He would respect that. He wouldn't get in trouble. He wouldn't get angry. He would say, look, I'll find someone else or something like that for you. And
also, you know, you need to think about that on daily basis. It like with Goku being able to watch over the world and see everything, like it would be really hard for him to stop his itch to, you know, directly get involved with even petty crimes.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, we gotta pick up the pace here. So Paparazzo, what if Raditz and Babidi came to Earth during King Piccolo's reign? Babidi and Raditz?
The new comedy duo.
Okay, well, if Babidi, in terms of power, trying to wake Majin Buu, he'd be there for a while. Because it took Goku and Vegeta going Super Saiyan 2 at full pelt to really basically get the majority of the power. So Babidi would be like, he would be having to pick people off from like the World Tournament, like, bit by bit over decades. And basically he'd have to pull a Jiro by basically being in the background and then surprise to get to the Busaka. Surprise! I have been here the whole time! Or something like that.
I don't think he has the patience for it.
No.
Like literally, he's shown as a bad guy who's very impatient. Like he literally, even when his henchmen do exactly what they're set out to do, he has less patience with them than characters like Frieza show. Like literally, Skopovich and Yamu go out. They fill the container with Gohan's energy, and it's able to fill up Majin Buu's orb like half full just from what they drained from Gohan alone. And yet he still murders them outright, and then is like, "I'll find someone else."
Yeah, that wasn't good. Anyway, True Blue, could you please make this a video? What if Goten and Gohan were twins? I think that being in closer in age, Goku would train both of his boys non-stop. Probably. I'm exploring that dynamic with Daikon and Muli. Definitely with Raditz. Because, you know, there's that connection. But I feel like the personalities would be very, very different. And
I think that if they were twins, what you'd wind up having is a situation where Goten and Gohan wind up in a kind of if you've never known a household that winds up inadvertently like the parents take favorites, I think that's the situation we'd be in, because
Yeah.
Chi-Chi would wind up being like, I want at least one of our sons to be a scholar, and she would want to have Gohan or Goten, probably Gohan, let's just say, studying all the time. And then Goku would be like, well, fine, we've got two. You can have Gohan be a scholar, and I'll train Goten.
Yeah.
And what you'd wind up having is this sort of dynamic where one of them is the brains and the other one is the brawn. And they probably even butt heads, because Gohan would probably be jealous of the time that Goten gets to spend with their dad, whereas
definitely.
Goten would be jealous of the time like Gohan gets to, sit in the house and not have to do a bunch of crazy stuff like chasing dinosaurs or getting fish.
No, that's fair. Anyway, man, what if Krinoa's Supreme Kai of Time intervened when Trunks came back in time? I mean, it's supposed to be a job to preserve the timeline as it is. So basically, if Trunks was on his way back to the past and Krinoa just basically caught him midstream, well, history of Trunks would happen, because Trunks would have never, he would have never got to where his destination.
The issue there, and the implication, is that Krinoa knew that Trunks went back in time for that specific reason, to like help the timeline, and she allowed it to happen specifically because if she failed to let that happen, what would wind up happening is somewhere down the line, whether it was due to Majin Buu or whether it was due to Perfect Cell or what have you, the universe would be like, the entire fabric of the universe would be threatened. And so she allowed Trunks to go back in time so that the universe stayed on course.
That is definitely a fair point. That is true. So, again, it's wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff, and we know how that works in Dragon Ball, that's for sure.
Yes.
Okay, Paparacha. What if the Krillin, not Goku, was a Saiyan? So basically, if Krillin was a Saiyan, well, basically, you get something fairly similar to what you'd have in Sophie B's one about what if Krillin had a power-up. Just saying.
Not quite, but you'd have something a little similar. If Krillin was a Saiyan, it would definitely be like, let's just say Goku has all of the talent he still has, but he's a human, and Krillin has all the same talent he has, but he's a Saiyan. Krillin would be getting a heck of a lot more Zenkai boosts throughout the series.
He would definitely make the most of that, yeah. But
DBZA called that out pretty spectacularly.
Pretty much, yeah. Margaret Evans. What if Beerus forbids Frieza from exterminating Saiyans? How does he control them when he can't wipe them out? And do they find out? Beerus would have exterminated the Saiyans. He only got Frieza to do that because he was lazy. He wanted to have a nap and was just like, Frieza, go and do this for me. I can't. I don't want to go all that way. The planet Vegeta is all the way over there, and I'm over here. I'm making Beerus sound a bit like Rick. It's like, you gotta go over there, Frieza. You gotta
Frieza, we gotta destroy the Saiyans, Frieza.
yeah, Frieza. You gotta go destroy the Saiyans, Frieza. Yeah, you gotta go do that. I'm busy here, just resting off this potato.
It's kind of funny because that's kind of like the one instance that we have now, like on the record in canon, of Beerus like doing something that's supposedly for the sake of his job. Like he wanted the Saiyans gone because they were a threat to the universe. So
it wasn't even
the site
that.
needed to be wiped clean or something like that.
It wasn't even that. It basically, the whole point of that is that the Saiyans, he didn't like them because they pissed him off. Like, it was just like,
well, and I get
their food
that.
wasn't great. He didn't like King Vegeta. He had umbrage. He basically, I don't like the Saiyans because. And, yeah.
Well, that's what I find funny about it, is that Beerus is kind of known for being a god of destruction who doesn't take his job seriously. And the one time he actually, like, did something incredibly petty with the Saiyans, he was actually inadvertently doing his job, because, like, he's supposed to go around, he's supposed to destroy, like, planets with no life on them to start fresh, or he's supposed to destroy races that, like, pose a threat to the overall development and, like, mortal level of the universe, right?
Yeah.
So him leading Frieza to destroy Vegeta was him inadvertently doing his job, like, right for once, in a roundabout way.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
Also, also one more thing added to this, like because I just thought it that not only that, but to return to original question, like science wouldn't know that Frieza cannot blow up their planet, and the funny thing is, if Frieza didn't try to blow up their planet, they would still probably cooperating till this day because they were scared of him.
No, definitely true. Anyway, Austin Buck, what if Gohan never went to Namek? Not much would happen except for the fact that Dende's life would be in a little bit more peril, and Dende wouldn't have had that connection.
And not his potential wouldn't be unlocked.
That's very true. Gohan would be.
Well, and Gohan was pretty intrinsic to a lot of those battles, though, as well, and the gathering of like certain Dragon Balls. Like, if you take him out, he is a bit of a keystone of that arc.
You'd have to have someone replace
a lot of stuff. Yeah, a lot of stuff collapses. Like, you'd have to replace
someone.
him. Exactly.
You'd have to have someone doing it instead. But I think that could happen. Chancellor, what if you did a lightning round of doing your best to combine the most popular what ifs into one? So basically did a what if lightning round and basically think, well, okay, what is the most tenuous link that you can make for having these what ifs come together? Well, we are working on something that will eventually happen. We just need to get the resources in place and we will have something. Yeah. So watch this space, Chancellor. So that's a very good point. Nick Wolf, as a potential spin-off for Chi-Chi being more of a Z fighter, what if Chi-Chi instead of Yajirobe took care of Symbol and saved Goku? Well, again, if Chi-Chi decided to show up a little earlier, it depends really, because she wasn't really much of a fighter back then. We didn't know, because there was a long period where she was just not around. She was still, as far as we were concerned at the time, basically the timid maiden in distress, damsel in distress. You know, Teehee, I'm a princess and I like Goku, I love Goku, Teehee. We didn't know that she suddenly became a martial artist, or basically wanted, what we see at the 23rd tournament, so we didn't know. So I would say she'd have to come up with some way of taking Symbol out.
Yeah, from a narrative perspective, it would have to be a pretty big dynamic entry, because her kind of popping back in after being absent for so long was a big deal. Like, even the editors, or rather not the editors, but the anime staff that were adapting the story didn't know she was going to come back and actually like hold Goku to the marriage promise. So if you wanted to bring her back earlier than the Tenkaichi Budokai, you'd have to figure out a way to do it in a pretty like awesome dynamic way. Like,
you have to do it something compelling. Definitely. Right. Let's kick this up a gear. Jurassic Show. What if there was a colony of Namekians on Earth since the beginning of Dragon Ball? Well, I mean, it's not far-fetched. I mean, we basically had Katas end up on Earth somehow. What if that just happened with more of them? Maybe there was just some kind of connection that Namek and Earth have. Dragon Balls were a thing. It could be just some kind of connection and link, because these two worlds are entwined in some way. Maybe there's some kind of grand plan.
Also, it would just need to make Son of Katas reproduce. Like, you just need one Namekian to create a colony.
That is very true.
So and you could even say that, like, the Son of Katas is almost treated as, because he's a legendary figure in his own right. He's almost treated. You could almost treat it almost like a Moses analog, in that, like, during the time of the Great Drought or whatever, and all this other stuff, or just before the Great Drought, the Son of Katas leads a colony of Namekians off of Namek, and basically it becomes revealed that these are the last Namekians who are from the period before Guru. Like, they're the last of the non-Guru spawn, essentially, because all the Namekians after the Great Drought or whatever, they're all Guru's children.
That is true. Okay, that's definitely something to think about. Anyway, Nick Wolf, in your Raditz what if, I really appreciate giving the Saiyan specific forms to master. So what if Goten and Trunks got Sparking Joy and Divine Mind respectively? Again, I could see that happening, but again, you'd have to have some intervention with God Key, because that's somewhat intrinsic. But if somehow they got God Key in some way, Goten would definitely have Sparking Joy and Trunks would have Divine Mind. So you're definitely right there, Nick Wolf. Carnix, what if Frieza could see the future? Well, If he could see the future and he realized that basically, if he actually beat this, if he did what he was doing with Planet Vegeta, he would end up dead. He would not do it. He would try and steer away from future. He'd be scared of the future because he's scared of superstitions. So superstitions scare him. So this would scare him as well. So he would just try everything in his power to avoid fate. But the Kanassans would basically just be like, you can't cheat fate. And then Frieza would be absolutely left petrified for the day that this Goku would come and to end him. And I think he would actually not be as strong. He'd be cowering. But every time
he'd be crippled by it.
Every time he'd try and defy it, there'd be something that brings him there, like saying, "Oh well, I'm not going to go to Planet Namek. I'll get everyone else to do it." But then there'd be some reason for him to be drawn to Namek, and he'd be just terrified. And
I think that would lead him to paranoia and madness very quickly.
Oh yeah, big time. Like he would definitely wind up being like a lot of those like kings of legend who relied on like soothsayers and stuff like that, who basically just like goes mad from the revelation, trying his hardest to figure out like what's the path I can take that prevents my fall, and finding that there is none.
And King Cold would just have enough of this and basically say, "Well, you're clearly not able to run an empire. I'm taking this back."
My new favorite son.
Cool. Oh yes, Cooler. That is very true. But yeah, Carnix.
For his new favorite son.
Carnix, it would not end well for Frieza.
Yeah, friendship ended with Frieza. Now Cooler is my favorite son.
Yes, that's true. Okay, that's fair. Paparazzo, what if Piccolo Jr. was Dragon instead of Warrior? I would imagine he would come up with his own set of Dark Dragon Balls. That would be like, I think Dragon Ball New Age
an alternative Black Star.
Alternative Black Star, probably. Nefarious energy, definitely. Not as powerful, probably, as the regular Dragon Balls, but enough to cause some carnage on Earth, definitely. Proxima Turtle. What if Yamcha wished back everyone killed by the androids? Okay, what if Dr. Gero was accidentally wished back after the Cell games? Well, the thing is, though, Dr. Gero wasn't human anymore. He was basically a robot. And
Brain was still alive.
But you just have a brain. And as we know from what happened with Frieza, we just have a brain, flopping brain, which would then die. And it'd be like...
At best, because we see that Gero's head is like still functioning before 17 destroys it. At best, his brain would would be restored, and then like his head would be working again, but he'd be unable to do anything. He'd just be a head on the ground, and it would be beneath rubble because they destroyed the lab.
And they'd be calling it Mount Rand.
Maybe that happened, and maybe he's still there.
An eternal like prison. Oh my gosh, he'd be like alive for however long his brain case could keep his brain alive, trapped.
Oh jeez, that's dark.
That's dark.
Sean Melrose, what if Cooler took over the Saiyans instead?
We discussed this last time.
Yeah, but again, I'd say he'd be like his father and actually see how useful they are. He wouldn't destroy them.
He could get along with the monkeys better. Like even I think some of the better Saiyan warriors could even get into the armored squadron.
Yeah, I would say so.
He wouldn't be super respectful for them, but he would see their.
He would get what he'd be like a mix between Frieza and Cold. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. I see Cooler definitely as the kind of guy who knows how to manipulate the people around him. He could manipulate the Saiyans so perfectly. Frieza didn't want to bother with any of that.
No. He said, "I am a strong, independent leader who don't need no monkeys." Pretty much. But anyway, Paparacha. What if Goku and Bulma wound up stuck in each other's bodies on Namek because of Ginyu? Hijinks! Anime hijinks!
Oh my gosh. Well, you'd have to. Oh my gosh. That means Ginyu would have had to have wound up in Bulma's body first.
Yeah.
And then wound up swapping Bulma's body for Goku's body. Except then there would have to be a situation where he tried to steal someone else's body, like maybe Vegeta's, and Bulma Ginyu's body got in the way of the blast. So then Bulma and Goku's bodies would be swapped and Ginyu would be back in his body, and then you'd have to deal with, okay, well, how do we get them back into each other's bodies? Because we can't get Ginyu to swap them again.
It'd be Dragon Balls. But Goku would be out of commission as we know it, and yeah, that could have been precarious, definitely. That would have been. That would be
funny.
It'd be funny, but also really nerve-wracking.
Oh yeah, like it would be fun. It would be hilarious though, trying to see, like, watching Goku try to fight with Bulma's body.
Oh god. Oh jeez. Oh that man. That would be funny though. Oh. Okay, Anthony Phillips asking, what if energy beams exploded on impact? It's a real good thing energy beams don't explode on impact. If they did, yeah, we wouldn't have beam struggles and the world would be sad. That's all I'm going to say on that.
Yeah.
It's there for the spectacle.
What would have probably happened, like, if you want to be, like, super literal about it, is that Earth would have been destroyed during that initial attempt to beam struggle between Vegeta and Goku.
Yeah.
Everyone in that situation would have died. Frieza would have been unopposed, gotten the Dragon Balls, and either made the wish for immortality, or, if there weren't any Namekians left to speak the password, just been frustrated because he has a bunch of stone orbs.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it wouldn't be as fun, definitely. You need energy beams for the spectacle. Zero plays games. What if Goku and Vegeta fused into Gogeta instead of Vegeta in the Buu arc? If they went Super Saiyan, they probably would have done the job. They would have probably done the job.
Gogeta could have done the job.
Gogeta could have done the old Gogeta.
As we know, he's the only fusion who does the job.
Old version of Gogeta. I'd say, old version of Gogeta, definitely a taciturn Gogeta. New Gogeta, maybe.
New Gogeta. New Gogeta reminds me a lot of Gotenks, and it's a little hard for me to stomach, but I still like him more than Gotenks.
I don't mind Gogeta, because at least Gogeta, he has that spunk, but at the same time, he does get the job done, and his attacks are awesome, unlike Gotenks, which is just a bunch of gimmicks.
Gotenks is like the epitome of this guy who wants to. It's like, I don't watch wrestling, but he makes me think of like the kind of guy who would be out there and trying to drag the match out for as long as possible to show off all of his cool moves. But everybody's like, "Boo, move on, get on with it."
It reminds me of Gotenks. Basically, he'd be just like this guy. Number 1, armbar. Number 2, armbar again. He's just listing off attacks. Seriously, it's armbars everywhere. Okay, Goku Kakarot. What if Goku, Raditz, and Vegeta were all sent to Earth as children? Earth would be done. But that's all I've got to say.
Babies, they make your Earth.
In the best case scenario, if they don't eliminate all life, because Vegeta is leading them, Vegeta and Raditz are older than Goku, so like they could actually lead them. If it's just the 3 of them, and they aren't accompanied by like Nappa and those 2 Jobber Saiyans that were there in the flashback in Broly, then I could see them not killing everyone on Earth, but rather just installing themselves as the ruling power. Pretty much. Vegeta being like, I can't be king of all Saiyans, but I can be king of planet Earth.
Pretty much. He would definitely try and make the most of that, that's for sure. Shaku Masquerade. What if Babidi had a recurring villain prior to the Buu saga? Like, he'd create monsters of the week to battle Great Saiyaman to collect energy. That's a good strategy, actually. If Babidi was more patient, and he would realize, wait a minute, this golden warrior people are talking about, they'd be going like, he's pretty strong. What if I just siphoned off energy in some way using these monsters? That would actually probably work.
It would become a Kamen Rider series. It would literally be Babidi in the role of the primary like evil emperor character of the season, sending monsters at Gohan until he finally awakens his #1 monster, and then Gohan has to exactly.
The chat are in agreement with that.
Piccolo and Gohan would need to assemble a team of teenagers with attitude.
Yes, absolutely. Frostbite. What if King Piccolo was resurrected in the timeline of DB Super or R&R, and how Piccolo would handle the situation? Idea from Dragon Ball Super Warriors, the game. So basically, if King Piccolo was around and Piccolo was just like, he probably would talk and like say, yeah, you probably shouldn't do what you're about to do because these people, they're not so bad. And he would pound King Piccolo into submission, and then was like, you need to fuse with me to understand. He would probably force his dad to fuse with him. Yeah, they say you can't be trusted on your own. I have to be responsible for you. And basically,
one of the
that's
interesting
assuming...
things, yeah. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Sophie, but I had a thought. One of the interesting things about King Piccolo, like, he was pretty evil, but like, you have to, like, when you compare him to some other villains like Lord Slug, who is like his carbon copy, like King Piccolo, spared Pilaf and his gang and freed the prisoners, so he had some sort of mercy in him, even though he was
he
a
wanted to
bad
cause
side.
chaos and watch the world burn under his reign,
yeah.
pretty much. He wanted chaos rather than destruction. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Alright. Nick Wolf. What if Jiro made free energy with the infinite engines instead of Androids 17 and 18? Well, I think that's exactly what would have happened, because many times we've said that Dr. Jiro ultimately wanted to benefit humankind with technology. He would have used the infinite engines to, if he had just stayed quiet in the Red Ribbon Army and said, oh, by the way, here's the infinite engine. We can power all automobiles with this. Red Ribbon Army would probably have actually become the most successful company on the planet. This would have been...
Jiro is definitely Goku's Lex Luthor, but it's the same problem as Lex Luthor. It's one of those situations, cut Lex Luthor a check situation. Lex Luthor could be helping humanity all the time with his brilliance, but he doesn't because he's bitter.
I know, but at the same time, if he did do that, and he actually stuck to his own personal beliefs and he had the opportunity to do so, he probably would have actually done something really good. Like, he would have...
Oh, absolutely.
Humankind would have evolved considerably quicker. Definitely. And what if Bulma made a router for 16's mind and survived Cell? So basically, if 16, she made a backup. She probably should have done, but apparently...
Yeah.
But again, the impact wouldn't have really happened, and then, yeah, it's unfortunate.
This is, I think, still the biggest death.
We've got something called a Vinny Raid. A Vinny Raid? What be that?
I don't know. The only Vinny I know is from Vine Size.
Oh wow! But anyway, welcome Vine Raiders. If you this is the What If Roundtable, and Spirit Yoshino says the Vinny Raid. So yeah, you want to have your own What If said here, then you can leave a super chat. But that's pretty much how it works, and you'll get it read, and we will talk about it. Vinny of Legacy of Goku 2. Oh, thanks, Original 151. Thank you. Wanted to send the troops. Oh, cheers, dude. Much obliged.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Big Chef. What if time travel didn't exist in any capacity? History of Trunks until the time machine. Yeah, no hope for Trunks really, and yeah, that would have been.
Yeah, basically, the timeline
dry.
ends at Goku Black, pretty much.
Not
unless
really,
you want to argue. Unless you want to argue that Kai time travel doesn't count either. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah. Okay, Anime Guy 101. What if Tarbell stayed with Vegeta after their planet's destruction? So basically, if Tarbell stuck around, aka if they had a good idea of what to do with Tarbell. Well, I think Tarbell and Gure, I think that they would have just, if they didn't go home to. No, Tarbell wouldn't stay. Tarbell would just like, well, I want to go back to Gure's planet. We came here to visit. And he probably would just, he probably wouldn't stay. But if he did, Gure and him, they would just go off because they're not strong, they're not useful. They would probably just, like, live their lives. They'd probably live their lives, they would interact with everybody. But they wouldn't really contribute in a fighting capacity, that's for sure.
I mean, maybe Tarbell could have some sort of, some sort of role in mellowing out the Kid Trunks.
Maybe, some kind of like uncle figure, definitely.
Yeah.
Roxas Angel. What if Zamasu became Vegeta Black instead? Interesting. But I think Vegeta would have had to be more involved. Like, if Vegeta maybe went with Goku and Beerus and Whis to investigate Zamasu instead of Trunks being around, Zamasu probably would have observed Vegeta and done his research. And
I think Vegeta Black could backstab Zamasu because it is hinted. It isn't very well shown, but it is hinted that some of the Goku's personalities are going, onto Black. That's why he didn't want to be immortal. And I think he actually could, like the remnants of Vegeta's pride could make him enjoy that more and change his plans a little bit. He still would be evil, but it's such a shame that they didn't come this way. That Zamasu, that Goku would take over Zamasu a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. E1 even 888. What if Kamen Rider Bulma fought Hirudegarn or the combined mech from the Tournament of Power in a Megazord? I'd like to see this happen, but we've only just gotten into Z with Kamen Rider Bulma. But everyone seems to really like it, and I'm really liking it too. And I'm basically trying to find ways to make the suit powerful, but not crazily stupid broken. Like, basically...
And if you guys watch today's discussion, you know that we like Hirudegarn. So,
we did talk about that, so go and watch the video. But yeah, I'm looking forward to more of the Kamen Rider Bulma. Kenshin491, what if Piccolo could merge with other beings, not just others of his kind? That would remind me of a Sonic F cartoon where everyone just fuses together and the big Sonic, chimera just goes, Tails, I want you inside my body! He'd just be this massive chimera.
What are you
talking about? Shouldn't be! It would just not work. He'd have to be very picky. I don't think that would work. Anyway, Jurassic Show. What if Frieza, Cell, Majin Buu were in the Tournament of Power? This makes me angry. This makes me angry. Majin Buu should have been in the Tournament of Power, but Toyotaro and the Dragon Team and the Dragon Room were just like, ah!
I'm not saying anything. Maybe there is a chance that we could see some similar setup in the future.
Well,
in one of the what ifs.
I already have a what if. What if Majin Buu didn't fall asleep? It is on my channel, so we'll go and check it out, and I'm going to leave it at that. Jax BG. What if Kami didn't separate? So basically, if he remained Katas. I believe...
The son of Katas, yeah.
Yes, if the son of Katas didn't separate, then... Yeah, I think... Well, he separated because... Oh, I can't quite remember in the flashback they did in Z. There was a reason.
He had to separate in order to become the Guardian of Earth.
Yeah,
he had to separate the evil of his soul.
If he didn't, then... yeah, he wouldn't be the Guardian of Earth, and we probably would have had another Guardian of Earth.
Garlic
Senior.
Garlic Senior. Exactly, Garlic Senior, pretty much. Kenshin491. What if Goku trained Jesus? Start of Z. Well, that reminds me of an old bad fan fiction theater classic, Vegeta versus Jesus. And,
my god, that's old.
That is old, and I would just say to Kenshin, go and watch that. Pretty much. Samuel Manthe, what if each Dragon Ball had a Guardian when they were active? Basically, if the Shadow Dragons were not crap. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. If the Shadow Dragons actually did their job, that would be interesting. Using their character ships, and basically each time you got them, you'd say, greetings, I am the Guardian of the one-star Dragon Ball. And... something like that. If you had, some kind of dynamic with the fourth one. Basically, if Goku's talking to the 4-star ball, he's actually talking to someone, and then Bulma's just thinking, who are you talking to? Well, you have to hold the ball to actually hear it, and then you just hear a voice. Oh, hey, Goku, what's up? Hey, what's the chick like? And it's just and then he's just talking to the Dragon Ball, it's like only he can hear it. Yeah. Something like that. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Something like that. The Jurassic Show. What if Goku landed in Capsule Corp? Dr. Bruce. Hey, free son! I have a son! Pretty much, Dr. Bruce would just... go on.
you also have to ask yourself, do you think that the briefs are the kind of people who would take in an orphan, or do you think that the kind of people who would take that orphan to foster or to social services?
Alien orphan, sure. Alien orphan who landed in a spaceport. Dr. Briggs would take it.
Oh yeah, of course.
Oh, that is true. If he witnessed the space pod aspect of it, then yeah, he would probably take it.
He'd be amazed. Because imagine, with finding Nappa's space pod, once he got that, he was able to make a giant spaceship in like several weeks. Yeah. Think of like all the money Capsule Corp would have made from that with space tech.
I'm actually like, it's somewhere on our shelf. Like I had the initial idea and it got lost somewhere.
We'll definitely look into that. Jurassic Show again. In what if Bulma trained like Goku? Freezer Buster. I would definitely say that, you know, one thing I will say is that in part 3, I would have like Bulma in a rut. Like, technology on Earth has just reached this peak that she can't really improve the suit much more. Like, something needs to happen. Then along comes Raditz's pod. Raditz comes along. She's able to help in the fight in some capacity. Enough, so that means, you know, they are able to do some damage and she can rescue Gohan, but Goku still dies, I think. But at the same time, she takes Raditz's scouter as well as the pod. And she's able to use that 1 year of training as well as implementing some of the technology from the pod. So she would end up, that's her way of training and somehow remaining relevant towards the cause against Nappa and Vegeta. That's the impetus.
You know what would be funny? Like if implementing the scouter technology in the helmet would make her, a power level, power level maniac, like. Because it would be for her logical and mathematical.
Well, she was already like that with just the scouter.
Yeah.
She was when she had the scouter, she was fascinated by it. She translated it into Earth language, so she managed to make it work. Yeah.
So that could be her little new hobby.
That would be her project.
Connection between battling and science.
We'd have our own power scaler in the anime.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Aaron Scobie,
Oh,
what if you got in touch with Toriyama's original editor and asked how he would change the Majin Buu saga? How would he improve the overall story? Characters? Oh, okay guys, I'll get on the blower to Kazuhiko Torishima. Yes. Hello, Torishima-san? What happened? Please fix. Okay, thanks, bye. Again, Kazuhiko Torishima, if I had the chance to actually ask him that question, I would. I would actually say, let's go back to 1994 and say, if you had these drafts of Majin Buu or Babidi and Dabura, what would you change? And
we know he was a really picky guy towards the end of his tenure as the editor when it came to the designs. I recently did a video on the Cell Saga and how the plot of that story changed with every design rejection that Toriyama presented Torishima. So you could check that out on my channel, but I think it would have been about as stressful of an arc for Toriyama to create as the Cell Saga would, because he would not have given him the kind of like leeway that Kondo did.
No, even more so, he wouldn't have done it. He only did the Buu Saga because he had creative freedom. If he was going to be like, say, oh, is Torishima-san going to still do it? Well, yeah, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. You can find someone else to do it. But
it's old man and the clown.
Grant Emil, what if Goku was never sent to Earth? We'd have a completely different adventure that is too massive and too full of variables to even comprehend. Pretty much Earth, we wouldn't have Dragon Ball. Let's just say it at that.
Goku would die on planet Vegeta when it was.
Oh, if he didn't leave the planet, yeah, he'd be toast. He'd pretty much be toast, and that would have been a shame. Heartless Fang. What if Gohan got stuck as Great Saiyaman? Basically, if he just goes around and has the voice all the time, and basically, I have to have the helmet on all the time. Excuse me, I'd like to buy some groceries from the champion of justice. He'd be just stuck like that. It would get so annoying. And Videl would just having to be like, You know, just having to like go, oh my god, what even is my life?
They're my divorce papers.
Yes.
That is definitely a plot from Toku or Super Sentai right there.
That definitely seems like something would happen in that one. Red Dragon Force 2. What if Gohan got the heart virus instead of Goku? He would take the medicine. If he was told, oh, Gohan, you're going to get this heart virus in 3 years, take this medicine, Gohan would do it. And would take it.
Oh, wait. There's an important thing to note here, okay? There's an important thing to note here, and it's actually a misconception. Goku didn't forget to take the heart medicine per se. The thing is that Trunks told him that the symptoms would present themselves in 3 years and that he would have to take the medicine once the symptoms presented themselves.
Right.
The thing is that the symptoms didn't present themselves at the same time as in Trunks's timeline, which made the time off by about, I think it was something like 6 months.
6 months, yeah.
And so Goku was like, well, I haven't had any symptoms, so I'm not going to take the medicine before the symptoms happen. And it only just turned out like the symptoms hit him all at once, like a moving train.
Okay, that's fair enough.
It is funnier though, like in DBZA with the grape flavoring.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Vandatory Rescue. What if all the populated planets had guardians or lookouts like Earth? Well, they'd make Shin do his job. Pretty much. Like, as in, like, if they had the ability to make sure that their worlds were okay, we wouldn't need the Supreme Kai. Shin could actually... He wouldn't have to do anything. That's all I'm going to say. Because, again, Shin, he's a slacker. As we've said, Haverok and I, many times. Red Dragon Force 2. What if Gohan became the Super Saiyan God and battled Beerus? What if future Gohan survived? You can watch that, because we do that. As in, Gohan becoming the Super Saiyan God and battling Beerus. Gohan would gotten Beerus' respect a lot faster. The Jurassic Show. What if the lightning round of nature versus nurture? So basically, if we took scenario of like Goku raising himself in the wild, and then Goku having Grandpa Gohan throughout his entire life, I would say probably you can compare the original timeline to the What If Gine timeline. Kind of. Sort of.
Yeah, maybe
sort of.
It kind of it depends. I think in this instance, I think what they're kind of implying is like, do you think that Goku would have become a good person if he hadn't been raised by Gohan and had hit his head?
Well, basically, I'd say what if Goku stayed evil? That what if Goku stayed evil time? What if is very suitable for that one? As in, like, you know, that is something that you can consider. And that is, you know, if Goku just used Grandpa Gohan as a source of food and didn't really care for him, and then if Grandpa Gohan died, Goku wouldn't care and just move on. Something like that. Goku Kakarot, what if Goku was sent to Namek? We've had this a few times. He would struggle to get strong because of the vegetable-based and water-based diet. So yeah, Namekians survive on water, but they do grow vegetables. So it would be a vegetarian-based diet. So Goku would have to quickly find out sources of protein somehow. And yeah. Unless there was able to be a way of like using the Namekian Dragon Balls to make it so that means Goku could survive on plant protein. Unless
the Namekians would recognize him as a Saiyan, because they might, like Guru might, and like they would make him a special diet.
Okay, that's very true.
And I could say that, like, you know, we know that they do have like sea creatures and stuff like that on the planet. So Goku's typical thing of like, I'm gonna go dive into a lake somewhere and get me a fish, that would still work. Like he at the worst, I think Goku's diet would wind up becoming pescatarian, with most of his meat coming from fish. But like, there are other animals on Namek. You just have to know where to look for them. And there's also frogs. Those frogs are probably a good source of protein.
That's
and
true.
elusive space duck.
Ah, yes, of course, the majestic creature.
What a majestic creature!
Yeah. Brian Kubero. Hey, Masako, how would a magic user like Doctor Strange mess in with the Z Fighters? I have an idea for a fanfic where my Sorcerer OC joins the Z Fighters. Moroark! Sort of. Like, magic.
Sort of, after a fashion, but...
Yeah, magic magic needs to be explored more in Dragon Ball. I mean, that's
It's
for sure.
rough. It doesn't. When it comes to power scaling, it's already a weird thing just going with the basic fighters. When you add magic into the mix, it becomes a whole other
It's
bag.
worth exploring,
Like,
though,
yeah.
definitely.
Add Babidi, add Janemba, and his visuals, and add a little bit of moral to that, and some early Dragon Ball movies shenanigans as well.
Basically, that's pretty much true. Clockwork Dragon. What if Goku didn't have any children until after Raditz came to Earth? Well, Raditz wouldn't have had that bargaining chip, that's for sure. And he probably would have challenged Goku to... he probably would have given the ultimatum. Basically, I think the same thing would happen. Just the same thing would happen, just without that bargaining chip. And without Gohan having that rage boost, yeah, they'd be in trouble.
And Piccolo wouldn't mellow out.
No, he wouldn't mellow out. Definitely.
Yeah.
That's true. The Jurassic Show. What if an evil Goku purposely stole attacks? Doesn't he do that already?
I was gonna say, well, I don't know if you'd classify him as evil, but I mean, Dragon Ball Super's Goku is pretty non-heroic, and most, if not all, of his attacks are taken from other people.
I would describe him as an anti-villain, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Spirit Yoshino, thank you very much for yours of the Vinny Raid. Kingler Gaming as well, and Dean and Emran. So thank you very much for your Vinny Raid contributions. Shinjojin, what if Android 17 or Android 18 became the next gods of destruction of Universe 7? They do have the ability to be sort of immortal already. 17, he loves nature. He wouldn't do that. He wouldn't want to destroy it. 18 wouldn't do it because she doesn't get paid for it. Waka waka! Okay, in all seriousness.
Also, to be quite honest, like, looking at her more materialistic view of the world, because like there are some good things that you can take from materialism. Like, I think she would feel
course.
that's a waste. That's a waste of resources.
Yeah, no, of course.
Destroying.
Yeah, no, I know. It's just a bit of teasing. Don't worry.
I know.
Yeah, no, it would be a bit more nuanced than that, definitely. Mike Mechanized. What if Beerus showed up after the ending of GT? Basically, it'd be like the end of Far From Home, as in, like, everyone thinks everything's done up, and Beerus is just like, "Sup, Earthlings?" And then Vegeta...
JK not dead, lol.
He said, "JK not dead, lol." And Vegeta's just like, "Here we go again." The end.
And then Toei and Shueisha argue about their ownership of Goku as a character when Goku leaves the DB universe.
Pretty much.
Oh
Hawkticus's History Corner. Don't know if it's been asked, but how do you think the show would change if the Ozaru form was explored more? Like someone figured out how to shrink it or use it without the moon. Well,
that's kind of what Broly has done.
Yes. And that's also what Bulma did with the Bloodswave cannon. As in discovering that the moon, it's not just the moon, it's the it's Bloodswaves. Basically, she discovered
the radiation given off.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, to be honest, it really wouldn't change that much. It would just make it a lot more easier to do. Just long as, because Bulma would have developed the Bloodswave cannon into a smaller form factor. By basically, you just have it like a radiation gun from like Fallout 4 or something like that. You just point it at someone, bloop, and then even if they didn't have a tail...
You triggered Super Saiyan 4 the same way that the protagonists summon their personas in Persona 3.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. You just do that, almost.
Yeah. Honestly, to me, like, the fact that they flat out said, like, oh, Ozaru is 10 times multiplier did a huge disservice to Ozaru, because I think Ozaru would still be kind of relevant when you didn't have, the flat multiplier and just grown with the Saiyan,
Yeah. No, that's definitely fair. Okay. Jack Scatter, not mine, but when Bulma marries, what if Goten and Trunks are twins? I think the Goku married Bulma. Goten and Trunks are twins. Again, I think it'd be the similar thing about what we talked about with Gohan and Goten being twins. They'd be favorites. Bulma is the mentality of having a favorite in a way. So I think that kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Kenshin491, what if MasakoX actually got with Hinata? She's 12. That's all I'm saying. As in,
I'm
like,
6.
it's like, wow. Wow. No, that's the thing. That's the thing now. Like, it's all very well and good when you're like 15, 16, having a waifu who's around that age, even though it's still not good at the time. But when you're like 30, nearly 33, I'm 33 next month. When you have someone
and
like
getting married
Hinata,
next month.
exactly. I mean, everyone's saying, "Oh, a wife and a waifu. There's not much of a difference there," but there is. But that's the thing. A lot of the times, Philly asks me whenever we're watching something, "Oh, do you have a woman crush or something like that?" I'm like, "I'm not falling for that one. No, I'm not falling for that one." Even though
start that again.
Even though, admittedly, she says if she has a crush on someone, I'm not going to say who, but I'm just like, she openly goes like, "Oh, he's dreamy." And I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna say that Idris Elba, Chris Hemsworth, they're nice. That's all I'm saying. They are good. But yeah, at the moment, waifus, as you get older, and I can say this, it becomes more nuanced. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
in a good way. You actually start thinking of it. You start thinking about it more.
Wow, that's such a blast from the past. Because I just now thought of the whole Naruto bridge
Tamari,
thing.
Tamari and Vegeta. Yeah. Let's move on before we go down this thing. We are almost done. Paparazzo, what if all the Saiyans were the opposite sex? What if Goku was female? Gives you a good idea, pretty much. So I would say that, again, not much would really change. Motivations would be the same. Look to Caulifla.
I would like to see somebody come up with a design for female Nappa.
I would like to see that.
Because I love the idea of seeing a female Saiyan that isn't like a ripoff of Broly,
and basically,
a la Kale.
Don't be cheap. Don't just copy Jasper.
Yeah, and don't hypersexualize, please.
Yes. No, exactly. Yeah. Kenshin491. What if Bulma became a great one for science? Wasn't she already one? Or something like that? I'm not quite sure.
I don't understand the question.
I don't understand Kenshin. Sorry about that. If I did, I would gladly answer it. Paparazzo. What if 17 and 18 pretended to be obedient and ran away when Jiro sent them after Goku? Going to Goku.
He would send a big signal out to activate the bombs in their chests.
Yeah, basically he would just use that, not tell them, and then boom. They were already on a knife edge already, so basically if he found out they were being disobedient, boom, they're gone. Cut and dry, I'd say. Paparazzo again. What if Goku was found by the Red Pants Army? That's from Dragon Ball Online.
Well,
if somehow they traveled back in time, and Goku was born in a different time. Again, probably something similar to Dr. Gero.
Yeah.
Look. His pod landed in a glacier in the north, and he froze there. And for 100 years, he slumbered beneath the ice.
For thousands of years, he lay dormant.
And he would become Captain Vegeta.
Oh, by the way, Proxima Turtle comes in with another super chat. Apparently they had to leave. They just wanted to know what we thought about their thing, about what if Dr. Gero was accidentally wished back after the Cell Games. We basically talked about,
that was dark.
Again, that was talking about Gero's head would be left under a pile of rubble where his lab used to be, and it would be just a dark way that he would end his life. And that's a way how we're going to end this stream, with a perfect segue. So thank you all so much for that morbidly dark end.
And remember, guys, don't get stuck under a rubble when you cannot die, because you will be there for eternity. Don't do that.
Yeah, it won't rock. It's not gonna rock. It'll do the opposite. Kenshin elaborates, saying by great one he means a Lovecraftian god. So basically, what if Bulma became a Lovecraftian god for science? Oh my.
Well, It would be interesting.
It'd
It
be
would be
It'd be
interesting.
interesting.
But I don't know how you would apply a Lovecraftian style great old one to Dragon Ball, especially with how wonky the deities of that universe already are. Like throwing in something like Cthulhu is really rough.
Yeah,
They will try at some point. Mark my words, they will try.
they will try. And yeah, I think that's a good way to end today's stream.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much for your support. And this, again, I must reiterate, this wouldn't be possible without you all watching the what ifs and making everyone think, well, I like to think of this story as an idea and an adventure. I'm going to make my own interpretation. And I'm just saying, if you ever want to do a what if that I've already covered, go for it. Everyone has their own interpretation, and I want to see what you can do. So if you want to come up with your own what if stories about what if rabbits turn good, go and do it. I want to see what you come up with. But anyway, I want to thank you, Sophie. I want to thank you, Haverok, for joining. I'm glad that your internet was resolved, Hav. And I hope that all your internets out there are doing well as well. And again, have a good rest of your day and a good night. I'm going to bed.
Night, night, everyone.
Good night, everybody, and thank you very much. And stay tuned for Saturday's video coming on Saturday. Bye for now.